Hello and welcome back to another episode of Come Back Stronger, where we share stories of people who have overcome significant adversity in their lives and gone back to find some strength within themselves to help other people. I'm Dana Brooks of the Fasig Brooks Law Offices, and I'm joined with my law partner, Jimmy Fasig, today.
Yes, very exciting today. We're talking about Latasha Hobbs.
Yes, it's an exciting show, but like so many of these shows, it starts from a really bad place.
Yes.
And Latasha lost her precious child, her son, within hours of him turning 18, and she lost him to gun violence. Like so many parents, she was angry about that, and she was not content to let things continue going as they were. She wanted to do something to change the way guns are available to people and what they're doing. You know, we live in a time now where kids don't just have fire drills in school, they have active shooter drills. It's a sad, sad time. And Latasha thought there's got to be a better way, there's got to be something else, and she became involved with Moms Demand Action. But you know, Jimmy, you're a parent of 3 young girls. They're not within your control and your reach 24 hours a day.
Well,
what do you think about?
The bottom line is that Latasha lost her 18-year-old son right after he turned 18 years old. And I mean, as a father of 3 girls, I mean, if they stub their toe, I feel their pain.
Right.
So I can't even imagine what Latasha went through, having lost her son at 18 years old. But she did find that inner strength within herself to actually turn it around now. And now she's a pillar of the community. She's making things happen to try to help or prevent this kind of thing happening to somebody else. Yeah,
and again, these stories are so impactful. They're so powerful because you know, you put yourself in their shoes and you think to yourself, I don't know how I would get out of bed ever again. I don't know how I wouldn't want to crawl in the grave with my child. And that's just a very natural, impulsive thing. But I can't wait to share her story with you, and so you can see where she found her strength and her courage to come back and make sure that as few other parents as possible ever have to experience what she went through. So we will take a break real quick, and when we come back, we'll have Carrie Roan sharing Latasha's story with you.
I love nothing more than when a former client refers me a friend or a relative, because that shows me that they really appreciated what I was able to do for them.
The thing that's most rewarding to me and the thing that I'm proudest about with this firm is that we truly do love our clients. I've got them in my phone, I follow them on social media, I celebrate when they have their grandbabies or when they change jobs or when they have, you know, their first baby. And that's real, and it's so rewarding from a personal standpoint and a professional standpoint. And I think that realness and that relationship helps us make their cases so much better too.
100%.
They're not just another number to us, they're not just a cog in the wheel, they're not just a way for us to make a living. It's just a way for us to have better lives ourselves by getting to know so many clients and helping them.
I think that's why so many of our clients come back to us and send people that they love and know to us. It's the highest compliment you could get. And we are back. We are ready for our first segment of Carrie Roan's interview with Latasha Hobbs right now.
Latasha Hobbs, thank you so much for being here with us. I know this is a very hard thing to talk about, and I appreciate you being willing to share your story with us.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity to share Maurice's story. Thank you.
So you're Maurice's mom,
Yes.
and Maurice was murdered when he was 18, right?
Yes.
And his birthday is?
January 24th.
Okay, so we just had his
Yesterday.
birthday. 22nd birthday he would have been.
23.
23, okay.
23rd. It was his 23rd birthday yesterday.
Tell me a little bit about what Maurice was like as a kid and what your family dynamic was.
Oh, Maurice is just an amazing kid. So full of life, very energetic, wasn't scared of anything. Definitely a daredevil. He was very artistic. He also loved music. He was really drawn to that. He was really drawn to music at such a very, very young age. He wrote poetry. He loved to draw. You know, so all boy, just really, you know,
creative though.
Very creative.
That's awesome.
Very creative and always on the go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What high school did he go to?
He went to Sandalwood, and then was going to graduate. We transitioned from Sandalwood to TFA, which is a private Christian school, where he would have graduated from. But unfortunately, my son was robbed of the chance to receive his high school diploma.
So you said something earlier that I overheard, that he was the man of the house, right?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Maurice is my only son, single mother, divorced when my children were very young, at a young age. Maurice felt like he was the man of the house, like he had to watch over his mom and his sisters. Very protective, and just made sure that everything was where it needed to be. And he would be that child that would make sure, or the child that would make sure that the door was locked, the windows were locked, and just making sure that everybody, was safe and the home is secured before everybody laid down. So he felt like he had that responsibility to look after me and his sisters.
That's sweet. It sounds like he's very kind and compassionate.
Very compassionate and huge heart, and he was very sensitive to the thoughts and feelings of other people,
That's hard to come by in an 18-year-old boy.
It is, and there's, I believe, part of that, what helped shape who he is, some of the things that at a very young, tender age that my children had to endure. And some things not so pretty. My children have experienced things that no child should ever have to.
I'm sorry.
And I think that contributed to how he just loved so hard and so openly and so selflessly.
That's wonderful. What wonderful characteristics for a young man.
Yeah, thank you. I love him. I do.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I do.
So what happened that led to his death?
Come January 26, 2017, I was driving to pick Maurice up. It was dark.
Where was he?
He was in Southside Estates neighborhood. We know it as Brookview. We lived not even a half a mile away.
Wow.
His car was actually broke down, so it was being worked on. So I needed to pick him up. So of course, Mom is on the way because that's what moms do,
Drop everything and go.
Drop everything and go. But it was dark, and I couldn't remember exactly what road that I needed to turn on. I made a right turn when I should have went straight. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm so sorry.
But I didn't make it to him. Moments after making that right turn is when gunshots went out.
Did you hear them?
I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
I never found my son. But at that moment, it's like everything inside me had just left. I was driving and I was crying.
Did you know? I mean, you could just feel it?
I didn't. I just felt something.
Yeah.
I just felt this this indescribable pain and emptiness of, I don't know, it's very hard to describe.
Gosh,
it's almost like I wasn't in my body. It's almost like, I left for a brief moment. Like it's very hard to describe.
Right.
Yeah, forgive me, I can't.
That's okay, Latasha. I mean, whatever you're willing to share, I'm just...
But somehow I knew something was wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
It's mama's
I felt
intuition.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Your babies are always connected to your body.
Absolutely. There's a spiritual connection. There's a bond.
Yeah.
And we as moms, we just know.
So what happened? You kept driving and...
I kept driving. I walked into the door, through the front door, and my daughters were home. And they said, "Mom, why are you crying?" And I said, "I know something has happened. I can't reach Maurice. I'm calling him. And just moments before, I just hung up the phone with him. And she's like, "No, Mom, it's okay. Mom, don't overthink. No, Mom, he's fine. He's fine. Maybe his phone just died." My instincts, my intuition was right.
Right.
There's definitely something wrong. My son didn't make it home.
How did you find out what happened?
The detective informed us what had happened. My Maurice's aunt, who was a police officer here in Jacksonville, she was actually just getting off of duty. She was just blocks away. She was leaving a McDonald's parking lot, actually, when the call came across the radio. And she said that she stopped. She sat at the stop sign for a minute. She's like, it just didn't sound right, but she didn't, you know, she knew that something wasn't right, but wasn't quite sure what it was. She thought maybe, okay, maybe she's just tired, or she didn't understand the feeling that she was having, you know. And she just continued to drive home, come to find out. She heard the call go out, and it was her own nephew. And
was it a drive-by shooting, or?
No, it was not a drive-by shooting.
Okay.
No, it was not.
And I know they haven't caught the perpetrator yet.
We have not had an arrest at this time, but my faith remains solid that that day is going to come.
It will.
It will. I have a great relationship with my team of detectives.
Good.
Yeah, I fight for Maurice every day.
Yeah. Like we were talking about, you're going to fight for him for every day for the rest of your life until until the perpetrator is caught. And
even with an arrest, I don't believe the fight for justice is ever truly over.
Right.
This is something, advocating for him, being a voice for him, fighting for him is something that I will do definitely for the rest of my life.
And I want to talk about that and how you're doing that when we come back from the break.
Thank you.
Oh my. You know, that's one of those that it's hard to remember that this show is about these stories and then the turnaround point, because like Latasha, when I'm hearing this and I'm seeing her experience it now, she's still in that moment.
So much pain.
She's still in that moment years
pain.
later, and I don't know that ever is going to be a filled hole in her body or her soul especially. What are you thinking as you're listening to that?
I mean, as I listen to her and I watch her, you can tell she's still struggling. It's a huge challenge for her. She's pulling through that inner strength, but she can see that there's a long road ahead.
Yeah, and you could tell she's steadied herself and she's ready for this fight. She wants to pursue justice, and that's noble, but I think that she does have the insight to know that that is not the magic bullet that's going to remove this hurt and this pain. It's just part of the process, part of the journey. It's another step to take. But watching her suffer so acutely, it's gut-wrenching. But there is a comeback stronger story here. There is some light at even the worst possible darkness that comes into your life.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, she's got to raise awareness, of course, but to me, I'm pulled with the instinct. This woman knew her son was gone before anybody had to tell her, and that's how strong a parent's love and connection is to their child. So we're going to take a break again, and then when we come back, we'll hear Carrie Roan's second part interview with Latasha.
To me, Come Back Stronger is about starting the case with a plan and with a goal of not just to get back to where you were, but to actually move forward in your life. When an insurance company sees that you've been hurt and you've been in an accident and you've got medical bills, you've got pain and suffering, you have property damage to your vehicle, you are at a very low point in your life. And what an insurance company will do is they will try to take advantage of you. They might show up at your door with a check for $500 to try to get you to sign on the bottom line. They'll show up at the hospital. They'll tell you not to get an attorney. They will do anything they can to save the insurance company money. And if you hire a lawyer and come back stronger, then you are going to be dealing with them on a level playing field.
Hello, and we are back for the second part of Carrie Roan's very touching, poignant interview with Latasha Hobbs. Take a look.
Latasha, I asked you to show the picture of your beautiful son, Maurice, so we could talk about something that I think is really important to the conversation. And you mentioned that a lot of people assume that Maurice was killed in gang violence or some type of rival issue, maybe because of his race or his age or whatever. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is one of the first questions I am asked after sharing Maurice's story of him being murdered by gun. The first question I am asked is, was he in a gang? And it's very disheartening. You know, it's unfortunate that the America we live in today, if you're black or any other race, if you're brown, someone will automatically assume that the reason why you were murdered is because you were involved in a gang or engaging in criminal activity. And I want to send a strong message that that's not true.
Right.
My son was murdered. My son is a murder victim. You don't have to be doing anything wrong to be murdered.
Well, and it can happen.
It could happen to anyone at any time, at any place.
Right. Regardless of the
me.
color of your skin, regardless of your ethnicity, your racial orientation, your religious orientation,
Absolutely.
sexual orientation, anything. It can happen
Absolutely.
to anybody at any time, which is why I love what you're doing with Moms Demand Action. And you can put down the picture if you want. Not that I want you to put him away, because he's got a beautiful face, and I know,
Thank you.
You know, he's still your son. But I want to talk about what you're doing now in his memory with Moms Demand Action to prevent this from happening to other sons and daughters, so that other moms don't have to go through what you're going through.
I'm really active in the community. Gun violence prevention does start with home. However, we also need to have gun sense legislation that's put in place to help keep guns out of the hands of people who should not have them. Promote gun safety education. So to purchase a firearm comes with great responsibility, and I think education should be a huge part of that. Sharing Maurice's story in the community, sharing his story with you right now is a way to bring awareness of gun safety and gun violence prevention, you know.
When you said earlier, which I thought was so poignant, off camera, you said that not every person that gets murdered, not every child that gets taken from their mother is a national headline news story. And that's why it's so important to listen to your story and the other moms with your group and with other, groups, because it's happening in our backyards.
Right.
And one of the things that we can do to prevent it is gun safety education, gun legislation, mental health awareness.
Absolutely.
What kind of things does your group advocate for with respect to gun safety and gun licensing regulations?
It's really common sense gun laws. It's background checks, universal background checks, a 3 to 7 day waiting period, proper storage for your firearms. It's really all about promoting safety and trying to help prevent any other family from having to join my journey.
And what I think is so important for people to realize about that is you're not trying to prevent people from owning guns or exercising their right to have a weapon or bear arms. All you're advocating for is a short waiting period and a background check to make sure that guns get into the right hands.
Right.
And not into the wrong hands as best as you can.
Right. There has to be gun ownership. And if you are an irresponsible gun owner, tragedy happens due to your negligence, you should be held accountable.
Right.
Not just because there's such an unnecessary easy access to firearms doesn't mean that everybody is responsible enough to own them, and that's a problem. It's problematic, and it should be a problem for everyone, because gun violence can happen to anyone at any time, at any place. It happened to me.
And I think what's interesting that's happening now, which we talked a little bit about on the break too, is the parents of the child who they bought him a gun, I think for his birthday, and he took it to school with their awareness, and now those parents are being charged. And I think we're going to see more of that in this country with respect to who owned the gun and why weren't they responsible in keeping it when that gun was ultimately, used in a violent act. I think that's going to be interesting to see that.
Right. And so they should be held accountable. Like I said, just because someone can go and purchase a firearm doesn't mean that they're responsible enough to have one.
Right.
So, that's why the background checks are so important, a comprehensive background check. Do a survey, ask questions.
Yeah. And what's wrong with that?
But there's nothing wrong with that.
If you want to own a gun, why do you have a problem having your background checked? Or why do you have a problem with a 3-day waiting period?
Right.
A gun is used to kill. So why not?
That's what it's designed to do.
Wait and go through the right procedures to own it, just like we have to do to drive a vehicle.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you. It's it's easier to purchase a firearm than it is to go get your driver's license. And that's an issue for me.
That's crazy.
I mean, we drive cars to get to point A to point B. It's part of our livelihood. It's how we get to work. It's how, we go grocery shopping. I mean, cars are convenience.
And cars are deadly weapons also.
And they can also be used. However, they were not designed that way. That's not what they're designed to do. Guns are designed to do one thing, and that's to kill. That is to eliminate a threat. That is to take someone's life, whether it be a human or an animal. These are tools that are designed for destruction. And to be able to access guns so easily, they're ending up in the hands of people who should never have them.
Right.
And it's causing devastation. It's devastating families across the nation.
Well, and again, I just want to point out that it's not that you're trying to prevent people from owning guns.
Right.
You're trying to save children. Just
Right.
like the child that you lost, who was just
Right.
a baby. He was just 18 when you lost him.
Still a baby, yes.
Right.
He
Still
didn't
a
even
baby.
graduate high school. He was robbed of that.
And your daughters were robbed of their brother.
Right.
You were robbed of your son, and our world was robbed of somebody creative and beautiful and kind
Right.
and compassionate.
Yeah, so much to offer to the world.
And
So
that's
much.
all you're trying to prevent is other people from being in this situation.
Right. Yes.
Well, I thank you for sharing your story on the show. I know it's heart-wrenching. It really is. And I am so glad that you were strong enough and willing enough to come and share your story with us, and in the hopes that we can, prevent things like this from happening in the future.
I really appreciate the opportunity to share.
Yeah.
And before I go, as a grandmother of a 5-year-old who does have little friends that he likes to visit, I just want to send a strong message out to the community that it's okay to ask your neighbors, your friends, your family members if there's a gun in a home, and if it's properly secure and stored away out of the reach of other people. It's okay to ask that question.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I have raised 2 sons, and I've had that awkward conversation with my husband. Should we ask? We don't really know the parents. They're our neighbors. Should we ask? Are they going to be offended
Right.
if we ask?
Right.
So I know there's a lot of parents that struggle with that. Should you ask? How do you ask? So I'm glad that you just gave people the encouragement to ask that, because
Absolutely.
it is an awkward thing, especially when you're friends or neighbors or coworkers with people.
Absolutely.
Because it's scary.
It's very important. It could potentially save a life, At that moment, someone could say, you know what? I'm glad that you asked me that. Let me remove my gun from my vehicle and bring it in and put it in a safe.
Right.
Please be comfortable with asking that question. My daughter and I, we've asked that question, and we have, the response has been positive.
Good.
And it's appreciated.
Good.
So,
I'm glad you
yeah.
brought that up. Thank you again for being
Absolutely.
here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my heart breaks. I'm thinking so many things with this story. You can tell Latasha's pain, it's obvious, and it's never going to be gone. But she is trying to find something good to come of it. And that's where, to me, the exciting part of her story comes from. And it's, she is not going to sit idly
Right.
by.
Yeah.
And this, I was just thinking about what the last part they were talking about was, I don't know anybody who has ever used a gun to defend themselves or their property, but I can name you now 7 people who've lost their own lives, or their children have lost their lives, or they've been shot because a gun was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And someone in the wrong state of mind had an opportunity to get a lethal weapon, when if that weapon was not there, the outcome would have been different. But not one time, and these are people I grew up with, I can tell you, I'm just, right now their stories are going through my head, but I don't remember one time growing up we ever thought about saying, my daughter's going to have a sleepover, are there any guns in the home? That never occurred to me. So that alone is an exciting takeaway from this, if it makes us think a little bit harder. And then I want to talk about also storing your guns properly, but I don't want to change you on this.
Well, I just want to say that I'm just so impressed by Latasha.
Yeah.
Is that even though she's deep in the struggle and she's deep in the pain, she's been able to take that struggle and that pain and still tell her story.
Yeah.
So that she can benefit others.
Yeah.
She is a shining light and example of what all of us can do when we are going through struggles and we're going through pain, and we turn that pain into something where we feel like we can benefit other people.
Yeah.
So she is an amazing, amazing woman. So we're going to have to go to a commercial break, but we're going to come back and wrap it up right after this.
Some of my clients are just like, wow, you actually believe me. You know, it just takes somebody believing in them and saying, I will stand up for you and I will go seek it out.
It was a slip and fall case.
Those are
And so
always
in a
hard.
slip and fall case, you have to have evidence that the defendant knew that the dangerous condition existed for a length of time. I didn't have the evidence, but my client was injured. And he definitely slipped on something on the floor. So I said, you know what? Nobody else is going to take this case, but I'll take the case. And I went ahead and filed the lawsuit. And then the next thing you know, I get the video from the store, and lo and behold, I could tell that the employee at the store literally walked right over the dangerous condition literally minutes before my client slipped and fell on it. And so I ended up settling his case. He said, we're going to be friends for life. I love it.
Hey, and we're back. We're wrapping up our two-part interview segment with Latasha Hobbs that our law partner, Carrie Roan did. You know, I became involved with something called the Committee of 99 last year. And this is not something you would typically associate with me because I'm not the biggest, you know, proponent of overreach of authority and things like that. But this is an organization that supports law enforcement officers. And I got into it, someone suggested it for me, but I got into it because I thought, you know what, I don't know everything. I know I don't like a bad cop, but they're not all bad. And let me learn,
A lot of them
let
are
me
very good.
understand what they're going through and what they're facing. And one of the biggest takeaways I've gotten from this eye-opening experience of getting to actually know people in law enforcement and understand why they're having the problems they're having, one of them is people will not secure these guns. So much of the guns that are killing our youth are being stolen from automobiles that people just, I mean, that's a lethal weapon. You're responsible for it. So grow up, and if you want to be a responsible gun owner, act like it, lock your doors.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is a tough one.
It was a tough one, yeah.
But thank you all for watching because any bit of education helps. So tune in next week, and if you have any comeback stronger stories you think you would like to share, reach out to us. We'll see you next time.
And you know what the insurance company offered him? $5,000.
That
Really?
was the initial offer.
He's completely blind, and they offer him $5,000. Ask him to sign a release.
To a lot of people, especially when they're hurting and when they're down and when they're vulnerable, $5,000 is a life-changing amount of money.
Yeah.
And they're not looking at the value of what has been lost. They're not looking at what it would take to make that person whole, which is our job.
Yeah.
That's our job. Their job isn't. Their job is to save the insurance company money.
Right.
And they look at this person and they go, I bet $5,000 would get your full attention. And they come in and they dangle it with a settlement release, and then once you sign it, you're done. You can't come back to us and ask us to wave a magic wand and make that go away. That can't go away.
My client didn't accept the $5,000. We took him all the way to trial. We got a $5 million verdict.